Welcome to Project Car Media, and in this video I'm going to be doing a little bit of work on the E36, including cleaning my suede steering wheel, removing the fog lights, and then we'll throw on the new wheels and tires that I got, and I'll show you guys those a little bit later in the video, and then possibly we'll give it a wash too. Alright, welcome back to the channel. Now before I get started on the miscellaneous items that I have planned for the car, I just wanted to remind you guys that I am chopping this video up into chapters, so look down in the description below if you're looking for something specific like cleaning a suede steering wheel, or removing the fog lights from an E36, or removing the back seat from E36. I'm going to chop those up into little DIYs and try to make them fairly detailed. So if you guys want to watch the video all the way through, that would be absolutely amazing. But if you're here just to see how to clean a suede steering wheel or to see how to remove fog lights, then go ahead and jump to those chapters if you'd like. If not, go ahead and continue watching and enjoy. In the last video, the steering wheel was inside the car, and it was kind of hard to see how dirty it actually was. But once I got it out into the light, you can definitely see there is a lot of shine right here, which is, if you guys don't know, is caused from just oil on your hands, or if you put lotion on your hands and you grip this, a lot of time basically it mats down the Alcantera, and you can see it's a little bit like that all the way around. So the goal here is just to clean this and get see if I can get a lot of the dirt off, and if I can stand some of it back up and make it look more like this, then that would be great. If not, at least I know it's clean. And actually I still have some, this is made from Sonax, and this is Alcantera upholstery cleaner, and I use this on my GT350 suede steering wheel to clean that up, and so I'm going to be using that on this as well. So yeah, basically this is going to be a little DIY on how to clean a suede steering wheel. And first, what you need to do is get a couple microfiber cloths, and they're both going to be damp, and one is going to be for cleaning and the other one is going to be for rubbing in the cleaner. So what we're going to do is we're going to get both of these damp. We're going to get the steering wheel damp with one of these, apply the Sonax around it, and then rub it in slightly with that same microfiber towel. Let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll come back with the other clean microfiber, and we'll basically just kind of go around and be kind of aggressive with it and see if we can get all the dirt up with that one. Once that is done, use this little brush to lightly stand the suede back up. So that's the goal here. We'll see what happens, but yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I got both of my microfiber towels damp. I'm going to use this one just to dampen up the steering wheel, and then we'll spray on some of the Sonax. And I'm just kind of like, just kind of tapping it. But it just needs to not be like super dry, because the Sonax needs to be able to soak in a little bit. So yeah, I'm really worried about this part. I'm hoping that it cleans up pretty good, because it's quite dirty. Okay. All right, so now that it's damp, we're gonna get our Sonax ready to go. And we're basically just gonna like lay it on, kind of like this, all the way around. Probably do a lot right here, just gets dirty. And then we're gonna take that same microfiber cloth that we used to dampen everything, and we're gonna use it to kind of work in the Sonax. If you can take your steering wheel out, it's really helpful. If not, when it's in the car, you can just wanna grab it and kind of go like this. Kind of rub it in. You just want to spread it around, just because, as you can see, when I was applying it, it was only just staying in that one little spot. So now that we have it in, I'm going to apply just a little bit more, because I'm just worried that maybe the towel picked up a lot of it. So I'm just going to put some more on here. And I think I'm actually just going to do this to kind of just spread it around. Okay, so now we just let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes, and we come back and we'll use the clean one to see how much dirt we can get up. Okay, it's been about 6 minutes, and I let the Sonax in here just like soak in, and then here is my microfiber towel that's damp. So basically what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna fold this guy in half, and we're gonna go around the steering wheel and just kind of like aggressively just try to get a lot of the dirt out. And we'll see how much ends up on the microfiber cloth here. You don't want to be too aggressive with it, I don't think. I mean, I'm not a professional, but you know, suede is kind of delicate, so we want to be a little bit aggressive on getting the dirt out, but you don't want to go like, you don't want to be too aggressive with it. So this is where I hope we'll see a lot of dirt come out. Okay, that's the first pass. Let me get down here too. Oh man, this rag looked dirty from before, but I did wash it. But I think all this dirt right here is from the steering wheel. So I'm gonna flip it inside out here. And yeah, actually I think all that dirt right there is from the steering wheel. So flip it inside out and we'll go around and do it again. But you can kind of see that it's not as shiny here as it was. Now, there's still a little bit right here that I probably didn't grab, but it's looking a little bit better. So I'm gonna do it one more time, put the Sonax on, let it sit, and then go around, do this again, and see if we can get the suede to stand back up a little bit. I went through one more round of Sonax and wiping it in. I let it sit, I wiped it down, and then I actually took a dry microfiber and went around and like patted it down, kind of worked that in, and now like it is looking so much better. As you can see, where it was really shiny here, it's not perfect, but it's much better, and the rest of the steering wheel looks a lot better. It's still damp even after I tried to dry it, so what I'm going to try to do is use my brush, just like lightly comb up the suede and see if I can get it to stand up and look a little bit better. You know, they want you to basically try to stand it up, like try to do a brush at an angle in one way is what I read. And I could be wrong. There's probably other methods to do this, but this is just what I read. So I'm just going to kind of go around and see if I can stand the suede back up. Like I said, it's still kind of damp, so it could still be a little bit matted down, but you know, this will probably make it look a little bit better maybe. And I'm trying to do all of the sides here just because, you know, you don't want to do just the top. So just kind of trying to brush it in one direction. And that way when it dries, it'll dry all standing up, and it'll look, you know, it'll look a lot better. Yeah, this area right here is really tough because this is where it was the worst, and it's pretty clean now. I wasn't getting any more dirt off of the microfiber towel, but it's just, you know, it was just matted down pretty good. So yeah, I think this will work. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna brush around again. I'll let it dry, and then I'll show you guys the finished product. While I'm letting the steering wheel dry, I might as well show you guys the wheels and tires that I got. And it's nothing crazy, but they will work really well for the race season. So let me show you what I got. This is what I picked up from a local seller here in the Pacific Northwest. These are some Kose K1s. These are a really common wheel, and they've been around a long time, but they are tried and true. They're very light, and they're going to work great for racing. And they even came with some pretty meaty Hankook RS3s that are, you know, they have probably a season's worth of tread left. So that's perfectly fine for me. Yeah, so these are a 16x7 plus 42. So a pretty neutral offset, and the tires are 225 55 16s. I love the look of the K1s. I love the look of the Hyper Silver. It's going to look really good on the black car, and it's going to look good too because I love meaty tires. So it's just a perfect thing all around, and these are really light. I mean, you can pick one up with one hand. They're probably, I don't know, maybe 25 pounds with the wheel and tire, maybe 30, compared to the 225 45 17 Federal RSRR with the style 138 or whatever it was, 17, that was like a 49-pound combo, and that's like per corner. So obviously in racing, the lighter you can make your wheels and tires, the more nimble your car will be, the easier it'll be to stop, and the easier it'll be to corner as well. So these are shedding like a good, I want to say like 20 pounds off of what I was running before, like per corner. So this will really help with racing. So yeah, I will throw these on here in just a second. So I'm going to jack the car up, we're going to change the oil, and then we'll throw on the wheels and see how it looks, and then we'll clean the headlights. Okay, and while the car is up on blocks to do the oil change, you might as well do these headlights. As you can see, they're pretty fogged up. Try to make them a little bit clearer with this turtle wax headlight lens restore I got. And then I also still have some of the sanding pads left on this 3M headlight restoration kit too, so I'm gonna try to use both of them to really get the headlights a lot better than they are. First thing we want to do is clean the headlight with some soapy water. So I have a little bit of soapy water on here, and I wish it was this easy, making it nice and clear, but obviously that is not going to last. We're just making sure that it's clean of all dirt and stuff before we start sanding. And then I'm gonna take a dry part and dry off the headlight. Now I'm going to take some tape and tape off the corner light here, and I'm going to put some tape down here and around here as well, just to make sure that I don't scrape the paint when I'm going through and doing my sanding. Now I got my tape around the edges here. I just did one layer. You know, it doesn't need to be perfect or anything like that. It just needs to be there just in case when you're sanding, you go off the light and you hit the trim or the light. It just protects it just a little bit. So now what we need to do is get our 1000 grit sandpaper and get it wet, and then we're going to start sanding the headlight. We'll do 1000 and then we'll wipe it. We'll do 3000, then we'll wipe it, and then we'll do our 5000 and then we'll wipe it. And then at the very end, we will use the turtle wax acrylic wipe, and then we just kind of go back and forth on it, and that's like the final touch. Let's go ahead and get to it. Here is our 1000 grit. And we're just basically going to put it on the end of this pad here. And this is what we're going to use to sand. But first, we need to get the headlight wet. So I've got my damp rag here. We're just going to get it wet a little bit. And then we're going to use our sander here and just kind of go in a circular motion like this. Now this is the 1000, so this is like the coarsest sandpaper that comes with the kit. So you want to do this a few times, wipe it, and you want to make sure that it's still getting wet, so we'll wet it down again, and we'll do it one more time here. So we're going to wipe it off again. And because these headlights are pretty fogged up, I think I'm going to do a third pass, but this time I'm going to make sure that the rag is really damp, so that way we can keep this surface nice and wet. So the headlight is nice and damp. I want to make sure that we just go over this one more time in circular motion. So now that we're done with the 1000 grit, we'll go ahead and wipe it off one more time. Get it nice and clean. And then we're actually going to dry it and see how the headlight looks. Feel it, make sure that everything is nice and smooth and even. So yeah, it looks pretty smooth. You might see some actual scratch marks. That's just because of the grit of sandpaper that we use. So now we're going to jump up to an even finer sandpaper, which is 3000. And same thing, we're just going to get the headlight wet again. Now if you have a spray bottle, that works much better than just wetting down a rag every time like I am. Okay, I actually took a break and I actually found a spray bottle laying around that had white vinegar in it, and so I washed it out with the soapy water that I had, and now I've got soapy water in here, and it's going to make it so much easier because Now all I have to do is spray this and get it nice and wet like that. And that is so much easier. So what we're gonna do now is take our 3000 grit and do the same thing that we were doing before. So just sanding it in circular motion. You can see the stuff that's coming off of the headlight as I'm sanding it. I think that on the package instructions, they call it slurry or something like that. I go over it a couple times with 3000 grit. We're gonna stop, wipe it off, and then we'll do it one more time. Okay, so now that it's done, I'm gonna take a dry cloth and wipe it off. There we go. And I mean, it's already looking better. I probably can't tell in the camera, but I feel like it's getting a little bit better. It's definitely smooth. So we're gonna spray it down one more time. And then we're gonna use the 3000 grit again and just go in circular motions here. Okay. All right, now we're gonna wipe it off one more time. And this time we're gonna let it dry a little bit so we can kind of see what the headlight looks like when it's all dry and make sure we didn't miss any spots. And it feels pretty good. I don't see any major scratches or anything like that. So I think we got pretty much all of it. So now last but not least, we're gonna step up to the 5000 grit. This is gonna get everything really, really fine. And then we'll finish it off with the acrylic wipe, which will make it look like crystal clear and it'll look really awesome. So same process. We'll get it wet. And this we're just gonna do lightly here because this is 5000 grit. It's very, very fine. And it's just basically making sure that the headlight is super smooth. We'll go over it one more time here and then we'll stop and wipe it. And then we'll do it one more time and use the acrylic wipe. Now it really doesn't hurt how many times you actually sand the headlight. You can do it multiple times. You know, the more you do it, the more, the more clear the headlight is going to look in the end. So, definitely take your time and, do it at least twice. That's where I see like the best results is like, at least if I do it at least twice, I get pretty good results and I don't waste too much time. When the headlights are wet, they're looking really, really clear. Wipe this off again. And this time we're going to make sure it's really, really dry because we're going to use that acrylic wipe on the headlight. All right, now last but not least, we're going to use our ceramic acrylic wipe, and they give you this funky little glove to use, and it's like, hey, if they're going to give me a free glove, I'm going to use it because gloves are always needed in my garage. But we're going to take this wipe and we're basically going to wipe it from top to bottom, side to side, kind of like this, and we'll just go across the whole thing, and it should clear it up really nicely, but we'll see. And I was using the 3M sandpaper and not the turtle wax sandpaper, so we'll see what happens here. So I've got my wipe here, and I'm just going to take it, and you don't even want to apply any pressure. You just want to move it back and forth. You come down a little bit, move it back. You come down a little bit, move it back. And you want to make sure you get all of the spots. So around these little pins. So I'm going to go over it one more time, do it really lightly so it doesn't make any bubbles. Okay, there we go. And so now it basically says to let it sit for like 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this one sit, but as you can see, like, it is already looking 100 times better. So this is the passenger side and it's looking so much better. Look at the driver's side. It's so foggy and gross. So this is working really well. This acrylic, it's like an acrylic coating that you're actually putting on with the wipe to make it really clear. So I'm gonna do the passenger side and then I'll show you guys the finished product. I can't believe how well these polished up with some sanding and then that acrylic wipe. It just totally turned these headlights from being completely fogged up to they look almost brand new. They're very, very clear, and which is exactly what I wanted. I just wanted to get the headlights cleaned up, make the car look just a little bit better. All right, now we're going to move on to the fog lights. This is how to remove a fog light in a BMW E36. Now these are glass, so I will be removing them as I've had them shatter before during autocross. And it's really, really easy. You basically just reach in here through the top. There's a little tab here. You just basically push it and the fog light pops out. Grab the fog light and you just kind of wiggle it out, and there you go. Then you can unplug the fog light and move to the other side. Now on the other side, same thing. There's just going to be a tab right in here. So you grab it, push, and it pops the fog light right out. Pull it out, and you unplug your bulb. All right, so we're going to change the oil. This is an older E36. I think it's like a pre-96, I want to say. So the oil cap is back here, and on some of the newer ones, it's up here. So basically what we're going to do first is take the oil cap off just to vent the system for when we empty the oil into the oil pan underneath. Now over here is your oil filter housing. So we're going to need to take this bolt off. This is a cap that just comes off, and the oil filter is sitting right inside. So we'll take that one out, put the new one in, put the new washer and bolt in, and the oil filter will be done. So first things first, let's go ahead and get underneath the car. The drain pan bolt is either a 17 millimeter or a 19 millimeter. So we're going to go ahead and take that off and start draining the oil. You can see the drain bolt right there. It's either a 17 millimeter or a 19 millimeter. So I'm going to go ahead and get that bolt off. We'll start dumping into the pan. And I've got my drip pan just in case as well. And then we will replace the oil filter. All right, here is my oil drain plug. It happens to be a 17 millimeter, and there was an O-ring on it, but it fell into the oil. And from what I'm seeing in the oil so far, it looks like there was only about 4 quarts, and it should be 6 quarts. So it was a little bit low. So now what we need to do is take the oil filter housing top off and replace the oil filter. And I believe this is a 13 millimeter. So we're just going to need to remove this bolt. This is like a really long bolt that goes all the way through the oil filter housing. So once you get it loose, then you should be able to loosen it with your finger and pull it all the way out. Okay, so we take the bolt all the way out, and note that there is a little O-ring on the bottom of this, so we'll need to replace that. And then the top here just kind of comes off like so. And there's also a rubber O-ring on the inside of the lid there that we'll need to replace. And then there's the oil filter. So we'll get this one out and get the new one in. All right, I got the old filter out. It's in this box. Here is the new oil filter, and here's the oil filter housing bolt with the little O-ring on the end. And here's the drain plug, as well as the old drain plug washer. So what comes with these oil filters is a replacement gasket for the housing cap, and then you also get a replacement drain plug crush washer, a replacement washer for the top of this bolt here, and then also a new rubber O-ring for the bottom of this. So let me get all this stuff on here, and then we'll put the new oil filter in. Okay, I got my new filter in with the new O-rings and the new O-ring around the cap, the new O-ring on the bolt. Got it all nice and tightened down. This one I usually just torque till it's pretty tight. I know there's an official torque spec, but I can't remember what it is. And then I put the new drain plug back in with the crush washer. That one you can torque to 18 foot-pounds, or just make sure it's tight. And then we're just going to dump the rest of the oil in. I've already put about 4 quarts in. This engine typically calls for like 6. So I'm going to go ahead and pour the rest in, and then we'll put the wheels on, get this thing on the ground, and see what it looks like with the new wheels. Oil is changed, headlights are done, fog lights are taken out, and the new wheels are on. They look really, really good. The fitment on them is really awesome too. I mean, I have a 12 millimeter spacer, and they're a plus 42 wheel with some pretty wide tires, and they seem to fit just right. So now I'm gonna go for a little drive, make sure there's no rubbing. I got the rear fenders rolled, so should be all right, and then we should be good to go. I was gonna wash it today, but Of course, it's the Northwest and it ended up raining, so we'll have to do that another day. I just got back from the test drive and everything seemed to run really well. I did hear a little bit of rubbing in the rear passenger side somewhere. I'm not really sure what exactly is rubbing because it definitely seems like it has plenty of clearance, but I'll have to check that out at a later time. We didn't have enough time to remove the rear seat, so we'll do that in the next video. And speaking of next video, you guys definitely want to stay tuned because the car is now ready to head over to Peak Innovation Motorsports, where we are gonna get it up on the lift. We're gonna do a general inspection underneath just to make sure, you know, nothing has gone wrong and everything's in good shape after, you know, I haven't had it for a year and a half and 12,000 miles. And then we're gonna see the subframe come all the way out of the car. We're gonna get to inspect the body itself with the subframe out. And then I'll get to show you the PowerFlex bushing kit that I have for the subframe, as well as the Condor Speed Shop subframe reinforcement plate kit. Then all that stuff will get thrown back into the car and we'll go for a little test drive after and see if we notice any difference. In the meantime, I really appreciate you guys watching. I hope you really enjoyed this format of video that I'm doing. And if you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next video.